What's going on, everyone? It's time that time of day to go over the screener results, and boy do we have a lot of them today on the put side. We have 27 entries today for the put side, so that's quite a bit. So let's go ahead and get started in breaking these down really quickly, and congratulations again to anybody that played Snap yesterday. That one paid very well, and it actually had 2 opportunities to profit today. Really 3 if you played put side too, but all in all, very good. So a lot of these are coming in, or some of these are coming in with RSI below 70. We're going to go ahead and ignore these for the time being. We're just going to focus on the ones that are over that 70 mark. So CHCO we went over yesterday. I'm only going to go over the new ones today. We have NVEC. Let's take a look at that one. NVEC on the daily and meets criteria. We have overbought RSI, and we have our gap. I'm going to go ahead and take off the MACD real quick. Okay, so this one looks good. Let's check out the options chain for NVEC. And there's no options on NVEC. So if you are new to options, or you would like to play shares, this one is kind of expensive at $60 a pop, so this may not be ideal, but it is shortable. I actually started this strategy by shorting up gaps, and you do not have theta to worry about. It's actually, I believe, the most safe thing you can do in this situation. So if you have a margin account and you're able to short, NVEC would be a great short play to take advantage of. Let's go down the list here. STBA, financial services again for this one. And by the way, NVEC was technology. So let's look at STBA. STBA doesn't have a gap, so we're going to go ahead and skip this one. MCRI was on the list yesterday. SLB was on the list yesterday. I believe SRCE was as well. Let's take a look at SRCE just to be sure. And we had a green day today, despite it being CoreLogic. Now remember, puts do take longer to come to fruition than calls, so it's always best to play the trend with the broader market. But everything here lines up. SRCE is still a good candidate. Let's look at HFWA. That's a new one, another financial services sector. HFWA. No gap, we're going to skip it. STLD, basic materials. Steel Dynamics, no gap, we're going to skip it. RLI, no gap, slight gap. Play this one at your own risk. There is a gap, but it's very minor. Just play this one at your own risk. This could very well come to fruition. Let's go ahead and look at the options chain just to make sure. Holy cow. Okay, so we have very low IV here. For put side, we're looking at, in the money, you're at 22.95%. And not a lot of liquidity in the options chain, which is, again, you're going to have to make sure you get the spread bought correctly. Never buy the ask. Always buy between the bid and the mid. So this one, there's probably a better candidate. So just let's put this one on the back burner for now. BPRN. Let's look at that one. And I will give you my thoughts for which one I think is most viable for tomorrow once we're done. This one, again, this one fits criteria, and I would definitely short this one because, again, there's no options, no theta to worry about. This should be an easy short. Very easy short for BPRN. All right, next we have AMTB, which is going to be financial services. There's a gap. Looks good. And we have options. Perfect. Not a lot of liquidity. There's actually no open interest whatsoever. So let's go ahead and keep moving on until we find that one with liquidity. We have TRV. I think I skipped UAL. Oh, I'm on page 2. Sorry, never mind. Okay, CVLG. We covered MNSB yesterday. Let's do CVLG. We got some volume and open interest here, which is what you want to see. So the open interest being here, out of the money for puts, although minor in number, it's going to be your resistance. So this went up 9% today, almost to that $40 mark. So I would definitely play the... Really, I think you get away with playing the 35s here, but just go at your own risk. The spread is wide. I'm looking for that tight spread. Let's go to UAL. FNB was discussed yesterday. Let's go to UAL. United Airlines. This should have open interest in it. Perfect. So this one here looks good. We have, well, first let's look at the chart. And we have our gap, we have our earnings, we have our overbought on the RSI. Now let's look at the options chain. And what do we see here? Well, going down the list here, support can be found in the open interest column on the put side. Resistance can be found on the open interest side of the call side. So all you got to do is go down the line here. 45.66 versus 51, there's more resistance than support. 25.33 versus 238, there's more resistance than support. 7.15 versus 136, there's more resistance than support. 15.14 versus 389, more resistance than support. Really, you don't have any support until you get all the way down here to 38.5, and at which point you finally get support more than resistance. So that being said, this one looks very good. 101 to 104 is your spread, 3 cents. This looks like the one, folks, that will take Snap's crown for tomorrow. So UAL, based on everything we've looked at so far, looks to be the one to play tomorrow. Let's keep looking though. FHN, already talked about. WABC. Not a lot of open interest. I'd definitely take UAL over this one. Let's keep moving. Let's check the chart though just to make sure. And this one does meet criteria. Overbought, gap. Let's keep moving though. UAL I really, really like. Okay, CTBI. This one has gapped twice, overbought again. Let's look at the options chain real quick. Meets all criteria on the chart. Options chain, not a lot of liquidity. So let's keep moving. And by the way, let me go back to UAL because I believe that I was looking, yeah. So I was looking at the 28th. Don't play the 28th here. Play the 14th or the 18th of November. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, not by much, but it'd be very advantageous if you purchase this in the money at 42 and it dropped to 38 by the 18th, which will likely happen. So UAL, to reiterate, if you're going to play it tomorrow, play at your own risk. If you're going to be playing the weekly, it's always a better idea to go with the monthly. Just less risk, longer amount of time for it to come to fruition. And again, look at these strikes, how they're scattered out here. Let's go through the OI the same way we did here on the 28th out here. So looking at the chain, we have no open interest here versus no open interest there. More resistance than support. We have 32.94 versus 5.88 at the 41 strike, 64.93 versus 39.64 at the 40 strike, 46.43 versus 17.29 at the 39 strike, and then it doesn't get to support until that $38 mark, at which point we have 30.21 resistance, but we have more support at 45.18. Now that doesn't mean you purchase at 38 because again, theta and out of the money, you want that intrinsic value. So if you purchase here and this walks all the way down there, you're going to be in substantial profits. So 18th for November, $42 strike. Just watch it tomorrow off the open. You may want to push it out to the 2 or the 42.5 depending on how the open goes, but just be aware. But 42 should land you some profit. TRV. Let's take a look at TRV. And this is a daily thing, folks. This one has some OI. Let's look at it. Okay, so this one's up 2.2%. Let's look at the chart, make sure it fits criteria. And it does. We have our gap here that was created today. And let's go ahead and go to the options chain. So looking at the support versus resistance, we're going to do the same thing we just did. At the 180, we have more resistance than support, 483 versus 9. At the 175, we have 349 versus 66. At the 170, we have 192 versus 81. And then at 165 is when we run into our support, when we finally have less call side OI than put side, being 106 versus 279. Support located at 165. Go back to the chart just for a brief second. Looking good. This one probably the second best we've seen so far on the put side. And remember, if you don't want to play the options, you can short every single one of these puts that I showed you, and it's actually less riskier because you don't have theta to worry about. BCBP. This one went up 2.32% today. Not a lot of OI, so I wouldn't be too lucrative playing this one. But look at the chart, and this one, I'd skip it. I would just go ahead and skip it with a 1 cent gap. So let's keep moving along here. SMPL. This is quite a bit of puts showing up here today. This is a pretty decent one. Chart looks good. Slightly overbought though. Slight gap. Let's look at the options chain. Have some OI there. Let's use the same logic. This one, it's at 37.83, so you could probably get a quick scalp on this one, considering the support is actually at the $35 mark. So I would imagine this one would drop to around 35. Settle for a bit. May not be the best one to do, but it still could provide some chance for profit because, again, same logic. 118 versus 20. 118 is more. 123 versus 720. There's your support. Not much room, but again, it does fit core and it should provide some profit. Next, we're going to GPC. This one here, November 18th, not a lot of OI, but let's walk down and use the same logic. 58 resistance versus 0. More resistance. 86 versus 0, more resistance. 263 versus 16, 1193 versus 25, 99 versus 46, 127 versus 32, and we finally reach our support at 145. So that's a pretty damn good swing there for GPC. 170 down to 145. Looking at the chart, again, looks good. This is one of the ones that's not quite overbought yet, so I would maybe wait on this one, but that's basically it for the new candidates for put side. AT&T. All of these are going to be slightly overbought. So considering AT&T is a popular stock with with a lot of OI, AT&T is probably going to be your number 2 pick behind UAL. Let's walk down the logic. 2888 versus 212, more resistance. 4513 versus 182, more resistance. 33376, way more resistance. 13688 versus 2396, 21103 versus 1788, 7811 versus 175, and then finally we reach our support at $15, 1196 versus 4082. So as you can see, all of this, I'm doing the same thing on all of these stocks. I'm comparing OI to OI. If there's not any OI, you may want to look and see if there is a ticker with OI first. The core logic does work with a barren OI chain. It's just more confirming when you have numbers to work with. So this one here, looking like 15 is your support, and resistance stacked all the way down. Considering the cost of this one, this is, okay, so anyone on a budget that's looking to get out of a hole, this is your play. Buy $18 in the money, 52 cents a pop, 54 cents a pop. Hold them till, I made the mistake. Let's go to the 18th. Sorry, not going to be that cheap. Still, not bad. $72 to $74 per contract. Let's walk down the logic, make sure it still lines up the same way. So here, we actually have 33,712 versus 59,876. So we actually have more support at the current strike than we do resistance. So keep an eye on this one. It's a rarity that you see that. We also have more support here, more support here. So this one actually could run some more. Again, this one's not quite overbought yet, which is why I like it to be the same every time. So actually, looking at the 18th, this one may be most lucrative to play the quick reset from the broader market, a little bit closer to expiration, maybe the 4th of November or so. Actually, there's not a lot of OI there. This here looks very promising for this week, but granted, tomorrow's Tuesday. You have a very short amount of time on the clock, so be careful if playing T. Looking like for the 18th, it could cycle back up. So in order for that to happen, you'd have to think, since the RSI is overbought, we'd have to see a pretty violent reset to be able to get to those kind of prices by the 18th. So keep that in mind. So still stands UAL looking like number 1. And then that's all I'm going to go over for now. I feel like I've gone over plenty. All of these don't have 70 RSI left. So out of everything that we've looked at for puts, UAL looks like the king. And again, we're going to reiterate why. So again, OI, there's more resistance here than here, more resistance here than support here. Walk it all the way down, and you don't get more support than resistance till 38. Look at the chart. The gap happens to be right there at 38. So UAL, I think, should be the most lucrative play that we just looked at from the put side. So we would want to see it retrace this gap support right around there. That is definitely exploitable, because as you see it here, The RSI going back down to the line probably equals this candle retracing to this line here. UAL looking good. And again, the cost of this one's about 233 to 235. Granted that futures don't turn red tomorrow morning, but just keep an eye on it. Wait for the broader market to make its decision, and then go with the side puts or calls of core that the market chooses. Let's go and look at the call side now really quickly. So for calls, CCI we talked about yesterday, CIVB we talked about yesterday, WSOB we talked about yesterday, INBK we talked about yesterday, TBK we talked about yesterday. Basically all of these were on the screener yesterday other than one. That's going to be CSTR. So let's look at the only addition for calls. OI chains barren. We just ran a lot from the SPY. We do have the gap though. We do have the down oversold RSI, gap on earnings. Looking good here for calls. However, not a lot of OI. So I may want to wait on this one. IV looks good too. May want to wait on this one to see what the outlook is. Because as of now, we only have one resistance, which is greater than zero support. So even though it's small, logic is logic. May want to wait on this one. But overall, looking like UAL is the play. So again, UAL looking good for core logic. So just keep that in mind. You can short it. You can play the options. Just make sure you stay in the money. Don't buy the ask. Buy between the bid and the mid. Be patient, and you should profit. And exit if it pushes you out of the money. For example, if it reaches 42 and you bought at 42, if it goes above 42 and holds there for a while, that's your cue to get out. But good luck, everyone. And hopefully we have another good day like yesterday with Snap today. Or like today, I should say. Hopefully we have a good day tomorrow like we had today with Snap with the UAL on the put side. Anyways, good luck, everyone. And don't forget, if you want to come do this with a group of about 350 people, you can do so for free for a week. And if you want to stay, you can stay. If not, no hard feelings. At least you got to exploit us for a week and see what we have to offer. Love to get more people trading this strategy because it does work, and it will work until the repo comes out. So again, I hope this helps, and good luck.